Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stottarashata Shrimad His Divine Grace La A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya His Divine Grace La Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Skanda. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, Text 52. Asuri nama pashatvas.
Asuri nama pashatvas.
Asuri nama pashatvas.
Asuri nama pashatvas.
Tayayati puranjanaha.
Ayayati puranjana.
Tayayati puranjanaha.
Ayayati puranjana.
Gramakam nama vishayam.
Ramakam nama vishayam.
Gramakam nama vishayam.
Ramakam nama vishayam.
Durmadena samanvitaha.
Durmadena samanditaha.
Durmadena samanvitaha.
Durmadena samanditaha.
Asuri nama pashatvas.
Asuri nama pashatvas.
Tayayati puranjanaha.
Ayayati puranjana.
Gramakam nama vishayam.
Ramakam nama vishayam.
Durmadena samanvitaha.
Durmadena samanditaha.
please chant.
Surinama Paschadva
Asurinama Paschadva
Ayayati Puranjana
Dayayati Puranjana
Ramakam Nama Vishaya
Ramakam Nama Vishaya
Durmadena Samandita
Durmadena Samanvita.
Asurinama Paschadva
Asurinama Paschatvas
Dayayati Puranjana
Dayayati Puranjanaha
Ramakam Nama Vishaya
Gramakam Nama Vishaya
Durmadena Samanvitaha
Durmadena Samanvitaha Asurinama Paschatvas Tayayati Puranjana Gramakam Nama Vishaya Durmadena Samanvitaha Asuri, of the name Asuri, Nama, called, Paschat, on the western side, Dvaha, gate, Daya, by which Yati, used to go, Puranjanaha, King Puranjana, Gramakam, of the name Gramaka, Nama, called, Vishayam, the city of sense enjoyment, Durmadena, by Durmada, Samanvitaha, accompanied. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. On the western side was a gate named Asuri. Through that gate, King Puranjana used to go to the city of Gramaka, accompanied by his friend Durmada. Purport. The gate on the western side of the city was known as Asuri, because it was especially meant for the Asuras. The word Asura refers to those who are interested in sense gratification, specifically in sex life, to which they are overly attracted. Thus, Puranjana, the living entity, enjoys himself to his greatest satisfaction by means of the genitals. Consequently, he used to go to the place known as Gramaka. Material sense gratification is also called Gramya, and the place where sex life is indulged in to a great extent is called Gramaka. When going to Gramaka, Puranjana used to be accompanied by his friend Durmada. The word Vishai refers to the four bodily necessities of life: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. The word Durmadena may be analyzed in this way. Dur means dushta, or sinful, and mada means madness. Every living entity who is in contact with material nature is called mada, or mad. It is said, Pishachi paileniena mati chana hai maya grasta jiver hai se bhava udai prema vivarta. When a person is haunted, he becomes practically insane. When one is in an insane condition, he speaks all kinds of nonsense. Thus, to become engaged in sense gratification, one has to accept a friend who is durmad, or badly affected by the material disease. The words Asuri Nama Paschatvaha are significant in another sense. The sunrise is first visible from the eastern side, the Bay of Bengal, and gradually it progresses toward the West. It is practically experienced that people in the West are more addicted to sense gratification. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has certified Bashi Mera Loka Sabha Mudha Anachara. The more one goes to the western side, the more he will find people disinterested in spiritual life. He will find them behaving against the Vedic standards. Because of this, people living in the West are more addicted to sense gratification. In this Bhagavatam, it is confirmed. Asuri nama paschadvaha. In other words, the population on the western side is interested in an Asuric civilization, that is, a materialistic way of life. Lord Chaitanya consequently wanted this Krishna consciousness movement to be preached on the western side of the world, so that people addicted to sense gratification might be benefited by his teachings. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitang Yena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vidang Tvang Sajivang Sadvaitang Savadutang Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Shatarini. So we are continuing with the story of King Puranjana, who is living in a city with 9 gates. And in this verse we can hear about the gate on the western side, which is called Asuri. So this allegory is speaking about our body. The body has 9 gates, 9 holes, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, mouth, 2 ears, genital and anus. And so these are the 9 gates through which the soul is interacting with the material world. And these different holes have different meanings, different functions. And here in Narada Muni, who is telling the story, he's connecting the gates to specific directions in the how you say?
North, south.
Not so. Yeah, but how you call it? Directions, but there is another. Directions. North, south, west, east. And actually everything has a meaning. That's interesting in this verse. And Prabhupada, I want to talk a little bit about this. How Prabhupada very beautifully is revealing his inner consciousness to us by giving some deeper understanding about the direction in the West. So the western side, the western gate here is called Asuri, meaning it's demoniac in a way. And why is the West, why is this gate, or why is the genital connected to the West? We remember that Narada Muni, he tries to tell this story in a way to make the king understand his own situation, but he's using an analogy so that it can be understood. And so everything he says has very deep meaning. Prabhupada describes in the purport, or explains why the West is designated for the genitals.
The West is more sinful.
But why is the Western direction symbolically more sinful? He says that the sun, which is the symbol of enlightenment, the symbol of knowledge, of life, where is it rising? In the east. He's saying it's rising in the Bay of Bengal. I was listening to, I found a lecture of His Holiness Kadambakarna Swami yesterday. I didn't have time to listen the whole. He speaks about this verse. And he was making the point that the east starts in Bengal, not in... He's actually giving the lecture in Australia, which according to our map is more east. No? But Maharaj says, no, that's not true. The east is in Bengal and everything else is west. Like we know a globe, you can go around, so of course we can decide where we put the east and where we put the west. And somehow they have, I don't know who made the world map like it is today, but they made it in this way. But according to this understanding, the Vedic understanding, the east is in India, especially Bengal. So we can understand in this way how Bengal has such a significant position. And what happens, so the east, the sun is rising, the symbol of knowledge, enlightenment, life. And so then the east is the auspicious side. And what's happening in the west?
Sunset.
Yeah, the west is swallowing the sun, making the world dark. So that's why the west is connected with darkness, ignorance. And where are we? We are not fully west. And when Maharaj was speaking, I was reflecting when I, for the first time, went to Australia. We went for book distribution, and I was quite shocked how, you know, I have been to India and I saw the piety in India, and even other Eastern countries where they have more culture. And I've been to the US, and I grew up here, so I knew that in the West it's more degraded. But in Australia, I found it was much more like how people dressed, especially the ladies. I was very shocked. And so according to that understanding, Australia, Japan and all these countries, they are most West. And we sometimes hear about some habits that people have in these countries, especially China, Japan, no, what kind of food they eat and all that. So there is definitely some truth in it. And so in this verse, the genital is the gate in the West. And the soul, no, this story is saying how the soul is interacting with the world using these different gates. And the genital is used for sexual intercourse. And it is said that Puranjana is associated or is accompanied by by Durmada. He's going to Gramaka. Gramaka is the city where one enjoys, especially sex life. And Durmada is the friend who goes with him. And Durmada means, it says two words, Dushta, which means sinful, and Mada, which is very close to the English word madness, mad, Mada. So somebody who is mad. And Maharaj, Kadamba Maharaj was speaking about somebody who is intoxicated. No, somebody who is intoxicated, I don't know if you have any experience, but somebody who is intoxicated is mad. If you go to a nightclub, you see a bunch of mad people doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Of course, when they are intoxicated, when they are mad, they don't see it themselves, but if somebody comes from outside in a sober state, he can immediately see this is complete madness. And so this friend brings Puranjana through the gate of Asuri to the city of Gramaka, meaning one has to be mad. One is mad who enjoys with the genitals. And we are in the West, like we know we are in the West, and we can see it's very prominent. Sexual intercourse is very important and it's very liberally available. And we can understand from this verse that actually we live in a mad society. Prabhupada here, he quotes that verse from Prema Vivarta. When a person is haunted, he becomes practically insane. Pishachi means? Pishachi, a witch. Pishachi Paile. Paile means?
To get, or if you encounter a witch.
Yena Mati Chana Hai.
A person's mindset or mind frame is destroyed. Or, it's destructive. Chana means destroyed.
And Mati, mind.
Mind or mindset.
Mindset. Maya Grasta.
When embracing Maya or being grabbed by Maya.
Jivar hoy se bhava uday. So that's the state of that living entity. Yeah, so that's, and I want to make that point today also, that for us devotees it's very important to keep it in mind. Of course, in a, like just now Krishna Prema Rupa Prabhu walks in, I remember he giving a class about the qualities and that there is a certain danger that we, when we hear such kind of statements, that we become proud and we condemn materialistic people. And this is very much true, like he was saying, we could see in our movement as well. At the same time, we have to know what's going on and what is reality. And no, Prabhupada said you have to call a spade, and we can be humble, especially we who grew up in the West, that we have been, most of us have been also mad and still are mad in some way. But by Prabhupada's mercy we have been to some extent cured by that disease of madness. But that's the point. It's very important that we understand people are intoxicated. People are mad. They are mad after sense gratification. And why is it important? So that we can stick to our faith and not be influenced by bad association. So not in a condemning way, but in a compassionate way, and also in a self-protective way. That we are actually confident, self-confident, that we live in this society and we try to do our part, but we do our part, we try to help, but it's not that we want to get something from that. And that also means in reality that we have to reject certain things which come from the society run by mad people. It's very natural that these people, because of being in illusion, they propose all kinds of nonsensical things. And devotees should be confident, stick to the Shastra, the instructions of Guru and the sadhus, and they should base their existence on that reality, and not on the words and the statements of materialistic people who are intoxicated. And so this gate Asuri, the genitals, that is actually the gate with which the Asuras, the demonic people, enjoy, and it's the pinnacle of sense enjoyment, sex. And so the Vedic scriptures, they don't say that you give it up completely. Of course they say that, but mainly what they say, Prabhupada also pointed out, regulate your sense enjoyment, and also regulate your sex life. And Krishna even says in Bhagavad Gita that he is sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. So it is a divine creation, a divine manifestation, if it's according to the instructions of Krishna. So that's so much about the Asuric civilization and the genitals, but I really wanted to come to Prabhupada's part, second part of the purport, where I found he's revealing his consciousness very beautifully. We are in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so we try to be Krishna conscious or become. And it was founded by Srila Prabhupada, who is 100% Krishna conscious. And in this purport, he's taking the word Paschat, which means West, and starting to speak about Lord Chaitanya, how he wanted that these Asuric people in the West, they get Krishna consciousness. And we know Prabhupada's pranam mantra, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine. And who wrote that mantra? Himself. He had some transcendental pride that he fulfilled the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world, and he's nobody else than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And we know the Supreme Lord always comes in this world to establish Dharma, to destroy the demoniac part of society, and to actually deliver the sadhus, the devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did the same. But then every incarnation, every avatar has a very unique contribution. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu definitely is the most wonderful avatar. Why? Why is he the most wonderful? Actually, this is Shastric. Many devotees have glorified Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way, that he is the most complete. Yes.
Yes, there's different ways to answer that. One way is because he has given what no one else has given before. Even though Brahma, it's a hard time to get that. But he's giving it freely to everyone.
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we hear in the scriptures that he came to give what no one else has given before, and this is Braj Bhakti, Braj Prema Bhakti, meaning the bhakti, the loving sentiments which the inhabitants of Vrindavan have for Krishna. And that's the point I want a little bit I wanted to say when Prabhupada, he hears this word West and he's speaking about the genitals, and he's immediately remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how he had this desire to spread Krishna consciousness in the West. And I was thinking, Krishna consciousness, it's a term which is so deep if you think about it. Krishna consciousness, what does it mean? And we know that most of the living entities in this world are Krishna unconscious. They are not only Krishna unconscious, they are unconscious in general. Prabhupada said, first you become conscious, then you can become Krishna conscious. And so we see from ourselves that, now I take my personal example, growing up in the West, not knowing anything about Krishna. And then by Prabhupada's mercy and by his devotees, getting in touch with that knowledge, and then slowly getting to understand this concept and actually accepting that there is a Supreme Lord whose name is Krishna. He's the Supreme. And then we hear about him, we see his form, we hear his name, we take prasadam, which is non-different from him. And we slowly become more conscious. We hear about his activities in Vrindavan, or in Dwaraka, or in all the different leelas he performed. And so that means Krishna conscious, to be conscious of Krishna, who he is as a person. And what's so interesting is Prabhupada, and that's what makes him such a special devotee. He was Krishna conscious in such a way that he knew the innermost desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not only that he read it in a book, but he realized it. Meaning it was complete reality for him. You know, if, let's say, you have a relationship with somebody. Let's say you have a child, and the child, it has to eat, it has to be dressed, it has to be bathed. Like the deities, they have to be dressed. All these things. But then when the child sees something like a toy and develops that desire for the toy, we know how children, when they want something, they can become really uncomfortable. You know, they can have nice food and everything, but if they don't get what they want, they're not happy. So we know that everything in this world is like a replica, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had this desire, or he's still having that desire, and he's even making the prediction that in every town and village my name will be chanted. And so Krishna consciousness means being personal, to understand he's a person. He has desires, he has feelings, he's thinking like I do, but in a much in a supreme way. And that shows Prabhupada's high position as a devotee, that he was empowered to fulfill the prediction and to, in a way, satisfy the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I thought we can also read from Prabhupada the prayers he wrote on the Chaladut, and they really beautifully also express why he was such a special devotee, because he understood the heart, by the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his spiritual master. He really understood the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by being faithful to his guru. And in these prayers you can see the faith of Prabhupada, and at the same time some kind of helplessness, not knowing. You know, he didn't know. Prabhupada, he knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, and my spiritual master, he has this desire to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, and he gave me the instruction. So it is meant to happen. But in reality, he didn't know how. He didn't know. He didn't really know how. And do you know where it is on the Veda base? That prayer? Here. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, I think you know it? Where it is on the Veda page? Yeah, the title of the song. Markine Bhagavatam. I hope I can find. Here. Yeah. So Prabhupada wrote this prayer when he was on the ship of Jaladuta at the Boston Harbor, meaning I'm not sure when he exactly wrote it, if it already, the ship already came. And he's writing, "My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me." I always try to, because when I read these verses, the prayers, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, sometimes it seems so surreal what they write, like pure devotee, but then being so humble and so honest. I always try to remember that actually that's really how they feel. It's not just some show, but that's how they feel. And now we can imagine Prabhupada came, and he's so old physically, and he doesn't have any means, no money, and he's just there in this country, and that's how he feels. I don't know why you have brought me here, and now you can do with me whatever you like. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place? So Prabhupada, he not only went somewhere to the west, but he went to America, and he was shocked when he saw what's going on there. He could see this is a Asuric civilization, how people live. Prabhupada writes, "Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied. and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. Yeah, the point that Prabhupada, he had full faith, but he didn't really know. And Prabhupada describes in the purport that in the West, people are so addicted and they're so intoxicated. So they're intoxicated and they're addicted to sex life. And now he had the task to give them Krishna consciousness. It's like you go to the club also. Sorry that I used that example, but how will you preach to them? It will be very difficult. They will only make fun of you and ridicule you. You know, let's say you go like this. They are in the complete enjoying mood, and then you want to teach them about Krishna. But it's, so that we can compare it like that. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. And now Prabhupada, he reveals the heart of a pure devotee. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. And then Prabhupada quotes the famous verses of Bhagavatam, Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridyanta Stoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam, etc. And that's also one point I thought to make, because I was having a discussion with a devotee the other day and we were speaking about preaching. And we know in ISKCON there is so many approaches to preaching and different ways how we preach. And even Prabhupada, he gave many ways how we can share Krishna consciousness. And that's some very important principle to remember, that the way how one becomes Krishna conscious is already given by the Lord Himself. It's not that we invent something new. It is already given, we just have to apply it. And I was making the point that Srila Prabhupada, he was so empowered that he established Krishna consciousness in the whole world, and he engaged so many people in Krishna consciousness. And not only that, but he engaged so many people, neophytes, in fulfilling the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because so many devotees, not so many maybe, but many, they worship Krishna. But maybe in India, many, like Prabhupada's wife, it's nicely described in the Lilamrit, that, and Prabhupada himself said, actually she was very nice. She was very chaste, she was very faithful to Krishna, but we had a difference of opinion, and what was that? She thought, let us just comfortably worship Krishna at home, and he thought, let's preach. So they had a little bit of a different mood. And so Prabhupada, he engaged every devotee in ISKCON who is sincere, no matter what he does, in this preaching mission, which is directly serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's innermost desire. And the point I was making is that Prabhupada, he established so many temples and he invited all the people to come and join. And now we have a temple here in Zurich. We all live here. We are like in a company. Now you have a worldwide company. Like I give the example of Starbucks. If you work in Starbucks, or let's say you go to Starbucks, you know exactly what you can get in Starbucks. They have a fixed menu. You know, they have the I don't know, a cappuccino maybe, and latte macchiato, and this kind of milkshake and that tea. And same, sorry, muffins, donuts maybe. And in my humble vision, ISKCON is the same. Every temple is like a what's the word? A branch of a tree, and all the branches give the same fruit. So every ISKCON temple should give the same products. Meaning that if you go to Starbucks, you're not going to ask about something super special. Some paneer sabji or something. No, you know what you can get and you appreciate it. You will not. So same thing in ISKCON. We can give the basic menu, and we can satisfy people by that. Which means we do the deity worship. We have the Bhagavatam. We have Prasadam. We have festivals. We have Harinam. We have book distribution. We have Prasadam distribution. And I'm convinced simply by following these, or by performing these activities, Srila Prabhupada will be very pleased. And we know from our philosophy, it is difficult to create something, but it's more difficult to maintain. That is described clearly. That's why Vishnu is in charge of the mode of goodness. So same, Prabhupada and his followers, they have created ISKCON, they have established ISKCON and all the activities, and I think we have the task of maintaining it. And simply by doing that, we have a big mission in life. And in this way we can, like mentioned before, we can assist Srila Prabhupada, who we actually don't know who Prabhupada really is. But he's the most confidential servant of Krishna. And we can assist him in his service to Radha Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even though it might look very simple sometime, a wise man can understand it is the most sublime thing a living entity can do, to assist the pure devotee in his service to Krishna. And that is the way how, even though now again we speak about the Western people, we are most fallen, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's the Supreme Lord. He knew how to convert the Western people. It's by the Sankirtan mission. And if one simply faithfully engages in it, even though coming from a very fallen background, Kadamba Karmaraj was making the point in the lecture, why is it so special, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission? Because it actually raises you immediately to the transcendental platform. Immediately. Before you had to go the whole ladder, and only if you're sattvic, and then you could start to meditate, and so karma, then jnana, then yoga, and then bhakti. But Sankirtan movement means immediately you can start bhakti. And now we just have to faithfully take it and perfect our lives. by pleasing Srila Prabhupada and all the Acharyas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. So maybe we are over time, but Krishna Prema Prabhu, if you want to add something, correct. Okay? Or somebody else? Then let us end. We have Harinam this afternoon. This was a small advertisement for that. Please come if you are free. And let's chant the holy name, distribute books. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanandi.